Hi, Canada. I want to talk to my fellow Canadians about my Prime Minister. And I encourage when you want to talk to your Prime Minister that you do what I'm doing. You grab your smartphone or your iPhone or whatever you've got the capability and you send a personal video message to Mr. Harper. I think it's time that he hear from Canadians and he hear the truth because it doesn't seem to be a part of his vocabulary. My concern with my Prime Minister is several. My first concern is I don't believe the Prime Minister is telling the truth about many issues. My first issue, I want to know how we're spending $25 billion on F-35s that Mr. Harper claimed that were $9 billion. During an election he said $16 billion, but neither of those numbers equals $25 billion, unless you put them together. But to do that, then Mr. Harper would have to explain why he didn't just tell us the $25 billion number up front. My second concern, and this one is far more serious, I want to know how it is that there's at least evidence that voter suppression happened in this country. And instead of standing up and being accountable as my Prime Minister, why he violated his own oath to protect our democracy. We, as Canadians, have a right to know what happened, when it happened, and who did it. That is our right. This is our democracy. This is our government. It is not Mr. Harper's. What we need to know is several things. We need to know how many ridings this affected. We have a right to know. Because if it did only affect 6, 7, or 12 ridings, then that had a huge impact on Mr. Harper getting his majority, which means it could be illegitimate. And we have a right to know that. What we also have a right to know is when Mr. Harper decided he was going to go change our pension without telling us. We also have a right to know how it is that an economic action plan that ended in 2011, they're still spending money on an ad campaign. And apparently now they've overspent. In the meantime, what we've seen happen to our government in the last year, and the most recent, our beef recall. The American government figured out there was E. coli in our beef before we did. They also let our government know 2 weeks before Canadians knew. That isn't right. That isn't the safe thing to do, and that certainly should concern us. But most importantly, we need to know why we have a minister in our government who apparently committed election fraud earlier. He committed donation fraud. We're not investigating that. Why aren't we investigating that? We have a right to investigate that. But most importantly, we have a right to our democracy. I live in Canada. I do not live where I do not have democracy. I was born in this country. This is my right as a Canadian to say, hey now, we are entitled to our democracy. We have tried everything to encourage Mr. Harper to tell us the truth. He ran on the idea of accountability. He told us that the previous Liberal governments were unethical. They were criminal. What did he do? His promise to end the Senate, that didn't happen. He's now made it a Conservative majority Senate in that time frame. So what do you explain that with? If he's willing to play with our election system, and he's willing to play with our beef system, and he's actually willing to lie about our defenses, we have many problems that we have to worry about. We have a universal health care in this country. I am very proud of that system. Yes, it has its problems, and I guarantee you it will continue having its problems. But what we cannot do is allow Mr. Harper to take that system away from us. We cannot keep allowing him to give tax breaks to corporations when he turns around and he starts decreasing wages in certain industries, because that's what he's doing. It's time to say, Mr. Harper, we see you. We know what you're doing, and we're not going to let you do it again. We need to put him on notice now, because the brilliance of our system is we as the Canadian people, we're his employer. And you know what? We might have to wait till 2015 to mark a different X in a different box, but that's our right to do in 3 years. And we need to let him know now that it's coming. And every day from now, we keep doing that. We keep telling him we are marking a different X. We are taking a different path. Because that is the only way that we are going to keep the Canadian people that we have. That is the only way our Canadian traditions are going to stay Canadian. I am never going to agree with Mr. Harper. I never will. I don't trust him. But he's given me many reasons not to. And quite frankly, I'm pretty sure he's given you several new reasons not to trust him. Do I think our political system is in a lot of trouble? Yes, I do. I have never voted for the same party twice. I have voted for the person that is running in my riding because I like that person, because I believe in that person, and I believe that person will represent me. I have never, ever not voted. I have a right to vote in this country, and I cherish my right to vote. But we can do something different. We can decide once and for all that we will say something with the mark of our X on our ballot, because that is the only way things get changed.